It is summer holiday here in the Netherlands, and today in this video we're doing things slightly different. Not with that Fiat 500, but with this camper van behind me. My name is Peter, and today we're going to have a look at this Citroën Holidays, which is an interesting proposition from Citroën, where it is just a normal Citroën van basically, but with camping capabilities, which is an interesting mix between going on holiday with a caravan or with a big dedicated camper van. And this is a nice sort of in-between. And I'm going to see if this is sort of my first camper experience or if this is all too small and nothing really. Here on the outside though, I think we are off to a very good start because I think this is a handsome looking van. It's obviously based on a normal Citroën Transporter van, so you know, as far as that goes, it's pretty standard. But here on the outside, you have a very modern looking and I think quite handsome vehicle. Nice daytime running lights, LEDs, big Citroën logo, all the things that you want from a good looking vehicle. What's also important to notice right away is I put this next to a bunch of actual camper vans this week, and those are huge. So it's just under 5 meters long, it's 2 meters wide, and I'll stand in front of it, just a bit taller than me with my 1.83 meters. But that means that you can fit this in most underground parking garages. It fits under my house, and that makes it a lot more versatile than those huge camper vans that you can only basically drive from the place where you store it to your house to load it and then to the campsite. This still fits everywhere, and that makes it really nice and versatile, not only to move around but also to park and to store. Furthermore, when you take the furniture out, as we'll see in a bit, the kitchen and the seats and everything, you basically left with a van, so you can still use it after you're done with camping. So that is really cool. And I think that alone already makes it a very versatile vehicle that you can actually deploy in multiple ways. Because the dedicated camper van obviously is really nice, it's bigger, it's more features and so on, like you have a shower inside and all those kind of things if you want. But this still means that you can use this when you're done with camping for transporting people and things around. Maybe you have a small business or something, you can still use it for that. So that is actually quite nice from Citroën. So there's not that much to see on the outside of this van, but I do want to show you the rear because that's quite interesting. It's a normal van rear, but there are some clever touches. So first of all, opening it up, I can just open the glass up to begin with. So that's really nice because it's nice and practical to sometimes when you quickly want to put a bag inside or quickly grab something that you don't have to open the whole tailgate. You might not always have space for that, or you might not always want to. And this is just a practical way to just access your stuff that might be in here. So that's cool. Then, of course, we can open the whole thing from down here. Swings open very far, comes out quite far too. But you can see with my 1.83 meters, I fit underneath. So that's great for when it's raining or when it's really sunny, you need some shade. Perfect spot to sort of move about in. And there's also simple things like a little loop here, so your kids can also open and close it. Great. Now down here, there's a bit of cover material here now, but you can see the amount of space you have here. Huge opening, of course, and these seats are now almost in the furthest back position. They can go forward quite a lot more to create a lot more luggage space here. But there's still ample space, so that is actually quite nice that you have a lot of options here to put boxes, stack things, folding bikes, you name it, it all fits in here quite easily. Then we have a bit of furniture here, as you can see. Down here is the water tank for the shower. And I hear you think, shower, where did you hide a shower? Well, that's this little flap here. There's an outlet here for a shower hose, and I'll show you that too. That's up here in a little bit of extra storage, and then you have a hose that you can just plug in there for some running water. Now, I do say shower hose, it's a glorified garden hose, so don't be too crazy about it, but it's just a little practical thing that you might want when you come back from the beach and you want to, clear your feet from sand, clean your surfboard, maybe clean your dog when it was in the water or something like that. It's just easy and it adds a lot of practicality to this rear part of the van. Even though you might not use it all the time, and it's certainly not enough to fully condition and shampoo your hair or anything, but in a pinch, it's nice to have. So there is a bit of storage back here, as you saw. Down there is also the heater for when the engine is not running and you still want to heat the cabin. So that's nicely tucked away too. And there's more storage in the furniture, as we'll see on the inside where we're going to go now, because obviously that's where all the magic really happens. So we start our inside tour here in the cockpit, because obviously this is where you'll be sitting driving to your holiday and camping destination. It's a nice place to be, obviously based on the Citroën campervan, with a few unique touches. So let's walk through it. Normal window and mirror control here on the left where you want it to be, and also a few extra buttons here on the left for driving modes that you never touch. Parking brake, hill descent control, heated steering wheel, and the angle of your lights. The steering wheel also has real buttons and switches, so that is just the way we like it. The only downside is that there is a frame of piano black on it. Obviously you'll be touching this most of the time with your greasy fingers, so that is never going to look nice. Understandable again why that is in places like this, but it is basically the only shiny material in the cabin, so okay. The only weird part is that the button to change the layout of your driver's display is up here on the left. So that is an odd spot. I would have expected that to be here on the steering wheel as well. Then we move to the middle where we have the big central infotainment screen. So that's awesome for navigating, radio, everything you want to do with a modern navigation screen. And it still has physical controls for the ventilation and everything. So that is excellent. Same goes for the Klima unit underneath. It's all physical controls and buttons, so a simple switch up and down for the temperature, a simple button for the fan speed, and a little display to see what you're doing. So that's all nice and easy to operate, especially while driving. And of course it makes sense because it's based on a van that people that actually use this professionally use. So it also has to be functional, so that's actually quite nice. A few buttons and some USBs underneath, and a bit of storage and a wireless charger for your phone. So that is also nice. I got my garage clicker there now. And a manual gearbox. There's also an automatic available, but in this version it's the manual 6-speed for the 2-liter diesel engine up front. Not necessarily have any feelings pro or con. I would imagine personally I would get the automatic because it's a bit more relaxed for driving. It's not a performance vehicle, right? And I personally don't really see the need to do this with a manual, but hey, doesn't matter. It is here. And on top of that, we have a bit of storage up here on the dash. So that's also quite nice just to chuck things in that you always need on a journey. Anything from a toll booth card to a parking ticket to maybe something for your camping site. Nice to have that extra space. And that is basically your cabin. Now, the unique part of this campervan, obviously, is that you are using this with probably multiple people. Which means, amongst other things, that you want to eat in the back. Because you have a little kitchen and you have a table, as we'll see in a bit. And obviously you need to sit at the table. And now you can use the seats in the back for that, but you can also use these seats because there's a lever down here. And if I pull it, I can actually rotate these seats. I'll bump into the door now, but if you slide this forward, I can rotate this seat and the passenger seat 180 degrees all the way to the back. So you can actually sit at the table with 4 people and have a conversation rather than not using these seats at all and only use them for driving. So that really opens up the cabin with a lot of extra space. So that's actually a clever touch. Now up here we also have the tent roof. I don't know what the official term is for that, but this folds up, as I'll show you in a bit. And that's for the full camping experience. But obviously when you're driving, this is all latched down and closed up. So I changed around the furniture a little bit. You can see I'm now sitting in the passenger seat, rotated 180 degrees with my back to the front window. So that's nice, and that creates that sort of open living room experience. If I turn the camera around, you can see that I've put the table on the seats over there, creating a lot of extra foot space here. And this is how you'll be sitting, before, for example, when you're dining and you put the table on these rails and then it sits here in the middle. More importantly, if you look up, I've raised the roof and the tent roof, and now there is a lot of space back here. So if I turn the camera around again, you can see that with my 1.83 m, I can easily stand here and I have to almost stretch to reach the top tip of the roof. So that's excellent. And obviously it's a diagonal roof, so if I move backwards here, at some point I'll touch the roof again. But there's a lot of space back here for a person my size to stand up and, for example, change or just move around and have that air above you. And that's really great. And especially with these lights here, you can see that these are integrated lights that you can turn on and off by tapping them. So that's really handy too, to have that extra light at night built into your van. Now, the real magic obviously happens when I pull this down. And then I'll flip the camera again. This is the upper area, upper sleeping area. So this is, according to Citroën, able to carry 200 kilos of weight. So you can see that this is quite nice. And you have these quote-unquote windows here with a fly net built in. And you can obviously zip this up to close it up. But this is a real nice space. And clearly this will get a little bit intimate with 2 adults. But 2 kids, for example, no issues whatsoever. And it's really nice that it's out of the way, because I can Just lift this back up. It's on gas struts, as you can see. And then you're done. And it's out of the way. You can probably keep most of your bedding up there while you are using it and stationary. So that's an awesome way to really use this space. And it's not revolutionary or new or anything, but I think Citroën has done a good job in making this space usable and livable at the same time. Now, sitting here in the middle part of the van, the living area, so to speak, it's nice and spacious. Even somebody my size, 183 and 90 kilos, has enough room to move around in here. So that's actually quite good. I'm sitting on the movable bench. You can move this forward and backward quite a lot. And obviously you're going to lay this flat in order to create a sleeping area here. But there's enough space for me to sit here as well, together with another adult. Not only kids will be fine back here, but 2 adults abreast, no issues whatsoever. The camera is currently standing on the table that is obviously removable and flexible. That is attached to the kitchen unit. And obviously that is what makes this a camper van. Now, when I say camper van, I've used it a few times already in this video, but you have to really see this as a step above a tent, but still a step underneath a full-size mobile home. So it's a bit of both and sort of an in-between solution as far as that goes. So everything you see here is very usable, but don't expect at-home style cooking, for example. So what we got here is a little working area. Underneath this we have a fridge to store your fresh veggies and your meats, and that is actually quite handy because that really elevates it above that sort of tenting experience. Then we have 2 burners, so that is nice for some cooking, fry your egg, fry your bacon, all those kind of things. And we have a sink with some running water there as well. Underneath there is an actual water tank together with a waste tank. So you're not just spraying this out in the open wherever you are, it's actually collected in a waste tank, so that's nice. And that allows you, a little bit of cooking, a little bit of cleaning, and then just living in here when the weather forces you to be inside. And I say that on purpose because this whole unit can be taken outside of the van. You need 2 people to carry it out, but it is able to be outside, so you can do outside cooking, outside being, and not sort of have everything in here all the time. Because you can imagine when you sleep in here, obviously, and it's full of cooking smell and everything, it's not ideal. And when the weather is bad outside, you maybe not want to open the doors all the time. The doors open on both sides, as you see, so you have a lot of airflow through, so that's great. But it's nice to have that option to move all of this outside to create more space and to create that outdoor vibe. Now behind me you also see the control panel for the entire van. So here you control everything from the leisure battery to the heating, ventilation, cooling, everything that you want is here in this panel. Super simple, no crazy touchscreens or anything, just simple operations, up, down, left, right. I think that is how you want it. You also have a bunch of USBs here and an actual power socket and things like light switches, as you can see here. Great. I think that's all you want. I think this is a nice integration of this unit next to the kitchen unit where you can just control your van. There's also some storage here under this, behind this sliding panel, as you can see, for all your bits and bobs, and there's some storage underneath the table that you guys are sitting on at the moment. But all around it's nice. I mean, there's always room for, oh, it needs to be bigger, better, luxury, yada, yada, yada. But I think the aim for this van is to be the in-between solution between tents and full mobile homes. I think it's nice. It's well thought through. It makes sense that you can take this out. It makes sense that this folds and slides. And you can always argue about materials and so on. But I think all around it is quite a nice place to be and also a nice place to live. As soon as you pull away with this van, you have to deal with the diesel engine up front and the manual gearbox, of course. Personally, I would have preferred an automatic for that even more relaxed driving experience, but the manual is fine. It's nothing special, but it works just well. The diesel engine actually suits the vehicle really well. Obviously, in my normal car testing videos, I basically never drive diesels, especially here in the Netherlands, because we pretty much don't sell them. And car makers don't offer diesels in their models anymore. But for vans, that's obviously a completely different story. And it's actually quite nice to sit here on the highway with the diesel. I'm doing 2,000 just over RPM right now, just over 100 kilometers an hour. It's a very pleasant driving experience, actually. And I've always been a diesel fanboy deep down inside, driving long distance to ski holidays. I have a German wife, so I drive often in Germany. And it's just, the diesel is such a nice engine type to drive on the highway with. So it's actually quite pleasant to be reacquainted with that in this car. And of course, the big benefit of diesel is not only the torque, but also the fuel economy. So with a full tank here, I'll be doing around 1,000 kilometers when you keep the speeds to a reasonable level. And that's fantastic, because that really suits the character of this camper van too, where you want to go away for the weekend to the Belgian Ardennes, for example, a few hundred kilometers to get there, a few hundred kilometers back, and you don't even have to stop for gas. That's just excellent. And it really adds to the whole sort of flexibility that you have with this camper van. The other thing that you notice immediately when you start driving is that it is just a van. So everything is creaking, everything is sloshing about, especially with all the furniture in the back and things like the water tanks. Everything makes noise and it's never really settled. Even on our smooth Dutch highways, there's constantly noise coming from everywhere in and around the car. Obviously that gets even worse when you get to uneven roads or speed bumps and stuff. Then it is all very soft and squishy, and then everything creaks and sloshes even more. It's not a real problem, I think. That's sort of the nature of a van, and especially a van with furniture, a table and all kinds of movable stuff in the back. That is just what it is. The fact that it is a van-based vehicle that is meant to carry loads is actually quite nice. Because, you know, with the furniture in the back, and if you throw some luggage and some people in the back as well, it becomes a heavy vehicle. But this vehicle is designed to carry weight. So as far as that goes, it is actually a nice transition. I have to say, I did not use this car in sort of my day-to-day life, because it doesn't really fit into daily life. Because why would I take this car to drive my kids to a play date? That doesn't make any sense. But trying it out in and around the town where I live, it is actually quite nice that it is such a manageable form factor. I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, the size of the vehicle allows you to park in normal car parks and in normal parking spots as well. So maneuvering doesn't become super cumbersome or super complicated that you can't get in and out anymore. So that's actually quite nice and really adds to the versatility of the vehicle. Also compared to the other camping capabilities, like for example a full motorhome. And those things get so huge that you need designated campsites for that in order to be able to just to park. Not to mention, you know, special driver's license and so on. So I can really get the appeal of this kind of vehicle. Because I mean, Citroën is obviously not the only one making this form factor. But I can really understand the simplicity of, hey, I like to go away for the weekend with a kid. So I just grab this, drive, camp a little bit, still have some creature comforts like a real bed and a real place to sleep on. I don't have to mess around with tents or backpacks or any of that nonsense. I still have a place to cook, a place to sit when it's raining, and it just all adds to that convenience factor, and the form factor ties into that really lovely as well, I think. So after seeing what's possible with this Citroën Holidays, I think it is a very cool proposition. I think this is perfect for people that want to elevate their experience from a tent, but don't want to commit to a full mobile motorhome quite yet. Both because it's a lot more expensive and it's also a lot less practical. This, thanks to its size, is still very practical. You can still park it in your own underground parking like I can. It's still usable in everyday life as well if you take all the camping stuff out. And I think that makes it very versatile and also a lot more easy to live with than a full motorhome that you can only really use for that camping experience. I can also imagine, for example, if you have two kids and a wife that doesn't like camping, but one of the kids does, that this is a cool sort of in-between solution as well, where you can take one kid camping in all comfort, can still go far and still have a good time together without having to stuff your whole family inside. Because I do think, technically it's all possible of course, but if you have to live in here with 4 people in a family like I have, no, that's going to get too small at some point, but it is certainly possible. I think all around Citroën puts a cool van on the map here with this Holiday, and I think it's a nice proposition if you are into this kind of stuff, which I think a lot of people are, because there's all kinds of clubs and collections of people that do this, I wouldn't say for a living, but really like this, and then you can do it together and join tours and join special trips to special destinations. And I think if you're into that kind of stuff, this is really cool. Also, for example, to look at secondhand if you're looking to get into this kind of lifestyle. That's all I got for you in this video. Let me know in the comments below if you like this kind of stuff. Because obviously I test drive cars most of the time, but I mean, there's a whole world of vans out there with all kinds of conversions and interesting stuff. So if you guys like that, let me know in the comments and we can see if we can do this kind of stuff more often. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!